collaboration means pastries sold out on opening day has since launched 003. He is the co-founder of Vayner Sports, a full-service athlete presentation agency with more than 20 clients with his own Apple's first original series, Planet of the Apps. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Put your hands together for
waiting 2 fucking days for this. Sorry about that. So, super excited to be here. Thank you so much. I've been really looking forward to this talk. So there's a couple different things I want to talk about. And then I'm super excited about the Q&A that we're going to have towards the end of this. I think the thing that most interests me is if you're at this conference right now, obviously in looking at this event from afar, how heavily it was promoted around me, and I think about why would you want to come, why, what value am I bringing, what are you trying to figure out? For me, you know, it's incredibly important when you give a speech that the speech is completely predicated on the value you can bring to the audience, not in what the audience can bring to you. And so for me, what's super important in this talk is, I think what's most remarkable, and if I could help it, what I would most want to get through to people that are here is, regardless of how big you think this opportunity is, and when I say this opportunity, look, this device, let me make it very clear because I don't think I've articulated it often. In 2007 or 6, or whenever the hell the iPhone came out, it was very basic. I saw that the iPhone came out and I made a singular bet, which was that this device was going to be the most important device in the world because over the last 10 years, from 96 to 2006 at that point, I, along with my dad, were able to build a very large business on the back of the internet itself. I watched a single store, liquor store in Springfield, New Jersey, able to reach national awareness at a very low cost on the back of something called the internet. How many people over 40 in this room, raise hands? Don't be embarrassed, be louder about it. Over 40? We still had it. One more time, I want to see how many hands are 40 and older. So for all the youngsters in this room, the hands that just went up, what the advantage they have in today's business world is we have context of what the world looked like pre-internet. We lived a full childhood pre-internet. We lived life without the internet. And what that did was allow me to context what was possible and how much it cost pre-internet versus what was possible and what it cost post-internet. What I was able to do to bring to my family business and the growth in revenue would have not been possible if we opened up a second store or third store with that same amount of money. In understanding that, it made me understand how powerful it was. In 2006, and again, this is just very important to lay this down as a framework for everybody here. In 2006, what I realized is, holy shit, the internet can be with you at all times. Now this sounds outrageously basic, but it has only been about a decade that the internet has been at our fingertips regardless of where we are. At this point, everybody in this room, when their internet gets a little bit slower, freaks the fuck out. Like literally, I'm not in the US, and my plan after a certain amount slows down my data in the market I'm in. Literally, while I was waiting to get picked up from a car, about an hour ago, was when I switched from my normal speed to this half speed that I'm on right now. Literally, the last hour has been the worst fucking hour of my life. Like, I just can't even open a tweet. Like, I can't do anything. I'm crippled by something that is only new to me in the last 10 years. It is now my norm. You get really used to things really fast. On that bet that this was going to be the most important device, I've been able to achieve a next level of success, predicated on a couple of things, but most of all, if you look back at my career, me investing in Tumblr and Facebook and Twitter was predicated on the fact that they were app companies on top of the phone. My friends, Facebook Inc., which includes WhatsApp and Instagram, is basically on its way to becoming $1 trillion company on the fact that it's just an app company on your phone. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp are apps on your phone. Apps. 3 apps on your phone, worth $1 trillion. You have to understand how unbelievably important attention is. Attention is the only asset. The one thing that I know I can bring to this entire room is that regardless of what you're doing, you sell sneakers, you're a lawyer, you're in real estate, you're an investment banker, you're an actress, you're an actor, whatever you're trying to achieve, the one thing, the only thing I could talk about, besides us being humans, that connects every one of us, is that we are all striving for other people's attention to then be able to tell them what we want. Whether you want to raise money for a nonprofit, become the mayor of your town, or build a $1 billion business selling sneakers, you need attention. The attention of our society lives on this device. The attention of our society lives on this device. Let me make you one promise in this room today. Unless you are producing content that is meaningful to an audience on this device across 7 or 8 platforms, podcasts, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, unless you're producing content in written form, audio form, or video form across 7 to 10 apps on this device, unless you are relevant on those 10 apps, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, if you are not, you are fundamentally irrelevant in society. This is a very important thing to understand, because I know there's people sitting here who have $11 million business and are super happy and aren't even on social media. I get that, but what you're not factoring in is what happens next. To me, what's most important is not today. I stand up here and so unbelievably appreciative of that reception that I just got, and knowing how many of you came here to hear me speak, but I promise you, as I breathe here right now, I recognize that literally everything I did an hour ago back is irrelevant if I'm unable to execute going forward. Tomorrow, I'll start making the wrong decisions and not executing begins the vulnerability of unwinding everything I've done. And I think we all understand in society, we react much heavier to mistakes than we do to successes. The reason I'm pushing that you're irrelevant if you're not here is I don't think everyone, including myself, has factored in how much more attention is going here. Let me promise you this. No matter what you think about technology, your kids on iPads all day, you always on the phone, nobody talking to each other, how you judge kids because they don't shake people in the hand and look in the eye, and all the other horseshit that demonizes technology, right this second, the way we interact with technology is the most basic you will ever see in your life. 10 years from now, every one of these phones, every one of these video game platforms, every one of these websites are gonna seem like a fucking beeper and MySpace. You have to understand this. Here's why. There is nobody here pot committed enough to this, including myself. There is nobody in this theater right now pot committed to this enough, including myself. When I say pot committed to this, what do I mean? I mean, every person in this room needs to take a substantial step back and understand, am I producing enough pictures, videos, written words in these platforms to achieve what I want? And the answer, and I'll save you time, is no for everybody. And for somebody who's putting out 85 pieces of content a day, across audio, video, and written word a day, my answer is staggeringly no. Meanwhile, there are people here who take 4.5 hours to figure out a perfect Instagram post because they want it to look good when somebody lands on their fucking profile. True. The quickest gateway, the quickest execution for everybody here to get whatever the hell they're trying to get out of here today is to produce content on 10 websites. The quickest way for you to get what you want in your life is to produce videos, pictures, and written words across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast, your website, email, text messaging platform, period. You know what's crazy? I literally want to say right now, thank you, London, I'm out. It is like, I'm thrilled to go into the mindset. I'm thrilled to tell you, and if you follow me on Instagram, this is where I've taken most of my content. I'm thrilled to tell you that the reason you're not producing enough content is unfortunately you value other people's opinions more than your own ambition and happiness. That literally Pants 47 can leave a content that you're ugly and it makes you stop posting. I can go into that. I can go into a million other things, but I make this very clear and obvious. The reason I am just beginning to succeed in my ambitions is because today is the least amount of content that I will produce, because I will produce more tomorrow and more the next day. You have to understand, media dictates everything, right? There's a specific reason that when there's a coup in a country, that the army goes and takes over the TV network and the newspaper. Communication is the game. Maybe because of being born in the Soviet Union and raised in the US, I have this paradox of being fascinated by a closed-open system of communication. Maybe because I don't know why, but something came natural to me my whole life, which is communication. What are the things that make people do things? What I'm fascinated by is the democratization of media. What I'm fascinated by is that everybody here, how many people here have been following me for more than 1 year? Raise your hand. The fact that all I want you to do is run Facebook and Instagram ads and you still aren't, makes me want to punch all of you in your fucking face. I mean, literally all I've been asking you to do for the last 2 years is run Facebook and Instagram ads, and you fuckfaces still aren't. And I say this because I put it on film, because I'm going to run this exact video against you in 5 years on some platform, telling you that you missed the golden era of Facebook and Instagram because now it's appropriately priced. And you guys have heard me, if you follow me, say this. I regret that I wasn't able to build my dad's business bigger because I didn't spend enough on Google. I didn't spend enough. I had it figured out. It was called Google AdWords. It was working, yet I still was doing newspapers and direct mail and radio and television because I didn't understand the context of the moment that I was living in. I didn't have enough experience to know that I bought something so good, so underpriced, so scalable, that I didn't squeeze the fuck out of it enough when Google AdWords was the best. If you follow me, you've heard me say that Amazon was the #1 spender on Google AdWords in those early days, and literally used that underpriced attention to be what they are today. I want you to spend on Facebook and Instagram because there's a possibility that never in our lives again will you be able to get in front of people at that cost. Let me just say it one more time because I really need you to understand it. This, right now, and this is why I yell at myself, for the $50 or $80 or $100,000 of my own money that I spend on ads on these platforms to continue to build brand, the truth is, I should spend more. And this is not a joke. If I didn't have such a high expense to run my lifestyle because I have a family that's fancy now, let me make it more basic. If I was single right now, I would literally go move in back with my parents just so I had more money to run on Facebook and Instagram ads. I'm going to say it one more time. We have never lived in a time where brand was this underpriced. Let me explain. What is the biggest difference between me and a lot of people that look like me, or me and the companies that I work with and I get them there? It is the fact that I do branding, not sales. Branding is different than sales. I love when people come up to me like, Gary, I'm a marketer. I'm like, cool, what do you do? Well, I am affiliate marketer, and it's, conversion-based top of the, I'm like, you're a salesman, bro. You're not building a brand. You have 747 URLs that you do landing page optimization against, and you convert, and that's amazing. Being an affiliate marketer is amazing, other than the fact that it should be called an affiliate salesman. Brand is why you buy Nike. Brand is why everybody who's wearing jewelry and watches right now are wearing what they're wearing because they bought a brand, not somebody cookied them on Instagram and remarketed to them, and then they bought that watch, for the most part. And so I brand, and why I love brand is because it's in perpetuity. When you build a brand, you can play on that brand for a very, very, very long time. Why Facebook and Instagram are special, and more special than Google is in Google's heyday, it was not that I was building brand for Wine Library, I was building sales, because when you go on Google, all of our businesses are the same because they're blue letters on a landing page that you click. Brand is when your pictures and videos look different in a feed. Look, I think I'm coming out of the gate in this talk, and I'm going to macro it up in a minute, but I'm coming out the gate in this talk very tactical about the details. In all my rah-rah and fuck what people say, and self-esteem, and all the mental shit that I believe in tremendously, because that's what gives you the engine. You're not going to execute shit if you're depressed or insecure. So I believe in it, but I'm putting it on a shelf, UK. I'm putting it on a shelf with you right now because it's so heavily marketed against me, knowing that you've heard a lot of this. I need one thing. I need two people to leave here who've been hearing me pound them in the fucking face about running ads on these two platforms to finally say, fuck, it's enough, I'm gonna do it. And watch this is very, very important. And please don't bullshit, raise your hands. How many people here have run Facebook and Instagram ads and it has not worked for their business? Raise your hands. Raise it high. Me too. Because not every execution works. Not every execution works. It doesn't mean it's not ROI positive. The ROI of a basketball for me is $0. It's $1 billion for LeBron. Just because you didn't execute Facebook or Instagram properly doesn't mean it doesn't work. It means you suck. This is going to be the era of regret, and I promise you that. This is going to be the era of regret. The prices of Facebook, how many people here have been marketing successfully on Instagram and Facebook for the last 3 years? Raise your hands. 3. I need 3 years and I need your hands. If it's success, don't raise it. I just need people banging on it successfully for 3 years. Raise it high, I just want to get a sense. Keep it up for a second. I love some of the gangster here like this because I don't want people to fucking know I like it. What all of you know, that I don't thank you, what the 20 to 50 of you know is it's not as good of a deal today as it was a year ago. Right? Just look around all the heads that are shaking. It is not as good of a deal today as it was yesterday. Here's where it gets scary, and I'm getting goosebumps. I know there's a bunch of fucking cameras, so maybe you'll zoom in before it goes away. The reason I'm getting goosebumps is you can't imagine the weird life that I live, and let me break it down for you as I've never articulated it before. I live a life today where I spend 3 hours with 3 different clients, spending all my time trying to convince them to move their money from television and billboards and dressing up double-decker fucking buses in London. And take that money and spend it on Facebook and Instagram. I then get in the car and come into a room of entrepreneurs and SMBs and tell them to spend money on Instagram and Facebook. What's really crazy about this is the following. Them, corporate, I understand why they're not doing it. Because they are stuck, right? They have, the way they score their marketing doesn't show that it works. Because they score their marketing not in real life. They score it based on awards and reports and stuff that isn't the actual sense of actually selling stuff. We do. The reason the prices have gone up is because other entrepreneurs and small businesses, and mainly Silicon Valley startups, are pouring enough money in to what is a very simple supply and demand platform and they've raised the price because there's only one feed, and if I want to get in front of my homie here, before, if 27 other startups didn't want to get in there, the cost of getting into his stream was less. Now that there's 28 of us, it's more. That's how Facebook makes money. That's how Google makes money. Supply and demand platforms, basic as fuck. Do you understand? Here's the problem for everybody in this room. The second the domino falls, and the biggest thing that you should be thankful for if you're a Facebook entrepreneur making money on Facebook and Instagram is that the Russians hacked the American election. Because all that propaganda made a lot of big companies pause and be mad at Facebook and not pour the appropriate money in, which bought us executing entrepreneurs another year of taking advantage of underpriced attention. But don't clap, even though that dude woohooed. Because what's about to happen next is going to make all of you regret to not listening to me for the last 3 years. What is going to happen in the next 10, 12, 24 months is that Evian and Coca-Cola and BMW and Rolex and Puma and Nike and GE and everybody else is going to wake the fuck up because they're going to have no choice, and they're going to take their 200 and 100 and 400 and 800 and 900 million dollar budgets and put it into the system. And for all of us that it's working for, because it works at $8 a CPM, $8 to get in front of 1,000 people, 42 of which act, 17 which convert, that $8 is going to become $28, where our models break. Attention is like real estate. Attention is like real estate. When Malibu beachfront property or property and buildings in shortage 20 years ago go up for the market and you buy it at the right price and then the market changes, you win. The attention on this device and the platforms is going to change very soon. You are a very unique group of people that feel that the Pied Piper of this opportunity is worth spending an afternoon with, or 2 days, or an hour, or what have you. It devastates me that you even pay attention to me at all and don't execute on the biggest gift that I'm trying to give you. It devastates me that you pay. I don't want your likes. I don't want your following. I definitely don't want to sell you some bullshit in the back of the room. I've already made more money than I need to in my entire life. I did it long before you even knew who Gary Vee was, because I just don't need a lot of money. I need admiration. You know how I get admiration? That you listen to me, execute, your life's a hell of a lot better, and you email me in 3.5 years and say, thank you so much coming to the UK. Then it finally hit me. At the time, I had been following you for 2.5 years, but something about the way you spoke that day and being in a room finally made me say, fuck it. It took me 3 months and a couple $1,000s, but then I figured it out. And over the last 6 months, guys, if you noticed, I started getting back into sports cards. People are selling me like Michael Jordan rookie cards for like 100% less than market because the emails coming. Literally, a baseball card dealer emailed me saying I was $280,000 in debt 19 months ago, and now I have millions of dollars just by actually finally listening to you. Guys, one more time, people winning on Facebook and Instagram, raise your hands. The people that have their hands up, by show of hand or wave your arm or whatever the fuck we're gonna do, admit to yourself, then me, then them, that when you first started doing it, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, but it's so easy and so underpriced that anything we did worked, correct? Underpriced attention. It works every time. It's about to go away, and let me be very clear, for all the nice little things I said about everything over the last 8 minutes, this talk for the last 10 minutes is selfish. I cannot wait, and I mean wait, to run this video to the world when this goes away and everyone's crying, and all you fuckers are gonna email me and say, Gary, you have to help me. What's next? And I'm gonna say, Sally, nothing, dick, you fucked up. 2015 2004 to 2014 was a long decade before something came along that even remotely looked like Google AdWords early for me. And there is no guarantee in augmented reality or voice or any other technology, AI, that's coming, that we will have this opportunity to communicate to people about what we want to at such a price that even if you're average, you will get business results. My friends, you should leave this keynote right now, get in the fucking tube, go home, and fucking figure out how to start running ads. And I don't mean go home and hire some 26-year-old to run ads for you. I mean you have to go home and spend 10 hours reading and watching videos of how to actually run a Facebook ad, how to actually make a picture and video for it, and watch the results so you taste it. You have to taste it. You have to be a practitioner of it, because it is the lotto ticket of the moment, and everybody is just letting it slide by. And I'll be honest with you, I'm thrilled. To be frank, it's better for me if you don't do it, because it makes it cheaper for me to do. But in my complete obsession with being historically correct and admired, I'm giving it to you. What's fascinating is a long time ago, I figured out why I don't sell my best advice, why I give it away for free. Why? Because 99% of you aren't going to do anything about it. It's the biggest brain fuck ever. I mean, I would argue that that was a pretty compelling 15-minute rant to get you to run a fucking Instagram ad. And 99% of you are still not going to. Brother, I don't give a fuck. Just do it. Don't tell me. This is so ridiculous. Let me bounce around a couple other things. Let's talk about content, because I just talked about distribution. The other thing is you got to fill the ads. The reason I film myself fully, besides being a narcissist, is by filming myself, I've been able to create a system that allows me to produce more content than anybody. What I find fascinating about Gary Vee, my persona, me, it's actually me, but what I find fascinating about it is I spend 18 hours a day running a company. I am not an influencer. I am not a personal brand. I am an operator, a business operator. Not only running Vayner, but all the other things that Vayner X, whether it's Pure Wow or 1:37 p.m. or something else we're about to announce. Not 15 minutes ago speaking to AJ about Vayner Sports and what we're going to do there. He runs it. I obviously do my thing. On the phone with my dad and Brandon last night about a thing. I'm in it. I'm fucking working every fucking minute, every second, all the time, always, and I'm putting out more content than people that are a personal brand for a living. Why? Not because I'm out hustling them, because I outsmarted them. It's based on understanding what I'm actually doing and what I hope a lot more of you do. The reason I film myself is the following. By filming myself, it gives me unlimited opportunity to not only create video, but to create audio and written word. And one of the biggest things I believe in the world is you do not create friction for the end customer. If you want to consume me in Instagram, I'm going to give it to you. If you want to listen to me on podcast form while you're running, I'm going to give it to you. If you want to consume a 1-hour keynote and watch it on Roku, I'm going to fucking give it to you. I create no friction for any of you to consume me. So many of you are producing content and you create friction because you only fuck with Instagram or YouTube, but you leave everything else out. So you narrow your upside because you're doing what you want to do, not what they want. Literally every single maneuver I make in business is 100% predicated on the audience. 100%. So people always like to razz me like, Gary Vee, you're such a fucking digital guy. Why do you write books? Because people read them, asshole. I don't read them, but people read them. And so I am unbelievably imploring you to understand a couple things. I have a top 100 global podcast, yet I never sit down and do a podcast. Why? Because I'm able to extract the audio. This talk right now is an episode of one of my podcasts in 7 weeks. You know it. This is how it is. It's also going to be an article in LinkedIn called LASS stands for Instagram ads, you dick faces. It's also going to be 3 little clips on Instagram with especially Q&A where I'm able to talk about new things instead of the pillars that I believe in, and on and on and on. I can't implore you guys more to get home and get serious about content creation. If you are fortunate enough to be extroverted or lack insecurity in front of a camera, you should be filming yesterday. But I also have empathy that it's not for everybody. And if it's not, and you love writing, I'm thrilled that you'll be writing. And let me tell you something about writing. One of the things that I see so many of you, and I've been watching people mention this and looking at their Twitters and looking at their Instagrams and DMing some of you, so many of you are relying too heavily on just the pictures on Instagram and not adding context and copy. I believe copy, the written word, is the great underdog right now in content creation. We've become so visual with pictures and video, we've punted written word. I can't write for shit and I'm doing it. I really implore most of you to do the following. Take a step back and figure out how you communicate to the world. How do you communicate to the world? Are you best at audio? Are you good at video? Do you write? If you're lucky enough to do video, that is where you go, because what video does is allows you to then edit it underneath it into audio and written word. If you don't, that's fine too. Forcing it will never work. We've seen a lot of people try to do video online, and it's been scary and ugly and a train wreck. It's just not for them, and that's fine. So what I'm thinking a lot about is how to put you in a position to succeed in content creation, and then figure out how to be great at distributing it. When you get to the distributing part, my friends, you have to respect the context of the platform. I'm watching so many people that are in B2B try to win on Instagram, but they're acting like Instagram's LinkedIn. It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or a financial advisor or you sell concrete. If you treat Instagram like LinkedIn, even though your business is more LinkedIn, you will lose. If you do not respect the context of the room, you will lose. These platforms are rooms. They are rooms. Fuck. It's just so intense. The reason I just went there, I'm just thinking, how the hell do I get them to understand? How do I get people to understand how big of a deal this is? Nothing is more valuable than attention. It's the only, I literally value attention equal to oxygen. I couldn't get you to understand it more if you got inside my head. And I can't figure out how to break people through, which is how, ironically, I think you'll find this interesting. I think the reason that I was willing to go back to mindset and motivation over the last year and a half, where after 4 years I was basically quiet about that because I didn't want to be a motivational speaker, was because I was so desperate for you to communicate more to the world. As I met more and more people, I was like, oh fuck, they're not doing it because they don't know how to make a picture or video written. It's because this is broken. They're insecure here. That's why they're not making, and that's the problem. I mean, there are people here that literally post on Instagram, and if they don't get enough likes, they delete it. They delete it because they think it's a scarlet letter that shows their audience doesn't give a fuck. They're playing the wrong game. It's short. Do you know how many people email me every day saying, Gary, how do I get to 10,000 followers? I'm at 4,000? That means something. We just have to change the paradigm of this conversation. We have to. Let me talk about a couple other things. How many people here in B2B, how many people here are entrepreneurs? Raise your hands. Just for a second. How many people here are employees at a company? Raise your hands. So for many of the entrepreneurs here, another thing that I would highly recommend is looking very deeply at influencer marketing. I can't get over the fact of how underrated influencer marketing is, how much wild, wild west it is. Here's what I mean. Just because somebody has 800,000 followers on Instagram and you pay them $1,000 and somebody else has 40,000 and they want $1,000, I'm surprised at how basic people are and they think the 800,000 is the better deal. I understand, it makes sense, the math is pretty clear, but a good affiliate marketer can tell you the conversion is going to really matter. If you're trying to sell something, whether it's a service or a product, I couldn't push you harder to get into the culture of DMing influencers that you think may represent your brand properly or just have big audiences, and start asking them what they would want for them to post about your B2B SaaS product or your new app or your hula hoop, or your fucking cool t-shirt, or whatever it may be. All I ever think about, I'm very basic. I keep shit super simple on supply and demand. I overlay attention and then culture, what's happening in it, and that becomes me, and I will always do that. No question, the other territory that I'm completely blown away by is influencers. Super underpriced, potentially super overpriced, but not allocating a couple $100, a couple $1,000, tens of thousands of bucks, depending on the size of your business, and putting it into that tunnel and that funnel and tasting it for yourself is a huge missed opportunity. Huge. Let me talk about another execution. I'm really excited about how tactical I'm getting today. Pre-roll YouTube. How many people here consume videos on YouTube? Raise your hands. Cool. Pre-roll YouTube. There's a way for you to segment and target people based on what they searched on Google, and then pre-roll them based on what they're doing on YouTube. Meaning, there's a segmentation that allows you to target every single person that searched open houses in downtown London. If you're a real estate agent selling in downtown London, and he's searching open houses in downtown London, but then 4 hours later he goes to watch Arsenal videos on YouTube, your pre-roll can show up first based on the context and data that that person created in YouTube search. It is one of the unbelievably strong brand and sales executions in the game, and you should literally go home and Google, because I don't know what Google's proper terminology is of this segmentation. How do I segment based on Google search as a pre-roll YouTube ad? Verbatim that. How do I search pre-roll YouTube ads based on Google search queries? Thanks, Dad. Next. This is the next version of this. This is the next. We just talked about being a great advertiser. Let me tell you about the ultimate in being an advertiser. To become a media company. The number one piece of advice I would have for this room, besides perfectly executing on Facebook, Google, and Instagram in 2018, is to start thinking of themselves as a media publisher, comma, whatever you do for a living. When you start thinking of yourself, as I do, as a publisher, as a media entity, I think of myself not as a Tim Ferriss or a Tony Robbins or a shark on Shark Tank. I think of myself as Wall Street Journal and Business Insider and Fast Company. I think about the world as a publisher, not as a human. Why this is important is for all the same reasons I said about advertising. If you are capable of putting out content as a media company, which means you're trying to bring value to the audience in entertainment or utility, not selling them something, when you switch from being a commercial on TV to being a TV show, you start selling a lot more. When you switch your mind from being an ad in the Wall Street Journal to being the Wall Street Journal in the videos, podcasts, emails, and LinkedIn posts that you put out to the world, everything changes. My friends, this is undeniably the biggest shift of attention that the human being has had. This internet thing, it's big. And it's just starting. My great concern, how many people here are retiring in the next 10 years? And I don't mean you're gonna fucking kill it and go fucking buy an island. I mean, you're fucking old and you're finished. Raise your hands. That old dude, 2, 3. No way, you're way too young. Cool. So for 6 people in here, I have a little more empathy. But for the rest of you, if you do not start becoming perfect at Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, podcasts, you're in deep shit. Because what's coming behind this is like a marathon versus the treadmill that I'm trying to get you on. And what will happen is, and this is why Actually, another show of hands real quick. How many people here are having their best business year ever? Raise your hand. First of all, let's clap it up for everybody. One more time, guys. You'll find this interesting. So that's fucking awesome. That makes me super happy. It also makes me worried. The people that I'm most worried about in this room are the ones that are having a great year. Because if they're not doing what I'm talking about and they're having a great year, they can only take it with a grain of salt. That becomes their vulnerability. There are so many people that make ridiculous statements in their own head, like Gary's awesome and super motivational, but this shit doesn't work in my industry. You're a fucking idiot. Communication works in every industry. Customers' attention works in every industry. And the reason humongous companies go out of business all the time in the world is they become audacious that the new technologies don't affect their business. There's nobody in here that is as big as the billion-dollar companies that are going out of business every fucking year because of the technology shift. So please, on your 20% growth this year, or on your cute double-digit massive explosion, please do not become audacious and think that everything that's being talked about here doesn't count for the real estate industry in the West Side and blah, blah, blah. The level of disruption that is coming is substantial. The opportunity right now is substantial. And I highly and desperately, desperately am passionate about this audience who decided to allocate me with the thing that I value the most, attention, goes and takes theirs. Every single time I do this, a month or two later, I get one or two of people that do. It is fundamentally foolproof if you're willing to make 100% of an effort. And when I say foolproof, nothing is foolproof. If you're willing to unbelievably work and understand how the ads work, and unbelievably work and understand how the pictures, videos, and written words work, you will hit pay dirt, mainly on the back of what I did earlier when I said, hey, for everybody that's got it, wasn't it so weirdly easy? The answer is yes. The attention is just so grossly underpriced, and it won't be. And so I'm passionate, as you can tell, and I'll tell you something. How many people here have been following me for more than 7 years? It shouldn't be a lot, but I want to see it. Raise your hands. So for the 20 or 30 of you, you know, I got quiet in 12, 13, 14, 15. I was quiet. There wasn't content. Wine was done. I wasn't making business videos. Once or hear a keynote from a talk because I was doing a little talking. I got quiet because there was nothing to yell about. Facebook and Twitter were organic. The ads weren't working this way. People were spending time still on television and TV and print and other things and other websites. Remember other websites? Remember other websites? Remember we used to go to other websites? Look what Instagram has done. It's sucked everybody in there. You don't go to sports site, you don't go to ESPN.com as much, you just get the highlight from 433. They've sucked us in. It's there for the taking. As much as I'm pumped that you wake up and you see a quote of mine on Instagram and you get fired up and you're ready for the day for 3 hours, but then some bullshit happens and you're depressed again. As much as that's fun for me, what's way fucking more fun is if you go put in fucking work for 20 to 50 hours, actually figure out what the fuck I'm talking about, watch what I'm doing, not what I'm saying, and you get the benefits of what's going on, not just me. London, thank you so much. Ready. I cut it 5 minutes short because I know we're about to do Q&A, and very honestly, I think I've made my point. I'd like to go into details, and by the way, I know a lot of you have context. You can go in, you can ask me a wine question, a Jets question, I don't care, but I'd love to get into Q&A. I'm trying to get a sense. Do you guys have the mics? You guys feeling good? Oh, the final thoughts from everybody? And then the Q&A.